Hey, welcome. We're live on Facebook. It's 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, which only means one thing. It's time for Under Contract. We come to you each and every week to connect the dots in real estate. Today's no different. We do that with amazing guests. And speaking of amazing guests, this is not just a guest, but a guest co-host.
Hey.
My co-host, Dr. Lisa Marie Kennedy.
What is happening, you guys? Welcome to Under Contract. I am so excited to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, it's awesome to have you here. I've been thinking about this for a while because I knew that you were going to be on as a guest co-host. I had you on my radar, and you graciously agreed to come in. So thanks so much. And by the way, Lisa is the author of Selling the $1 Million Model. We'll get into that later. We'll talk about that and how you can get copies of that. But today, Lisa, we're talking about ROI, and we're going to get into that in a moment, return on investment. Mm-hmm. What realtors really need to be doing, what are they doing that's getting them the return, whether it's a software tool, whether it's a ads that they're running, whether it's, just activities, calling customers. What is it that really is giving you the best dollar for dollar return on the things that you're doing? So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we do, I know you just returned from the 10X GrowthCon, right?
I did.
Tell us about that, because I unfortunately couldn't make it, but it looked pretty exciting. I saw clips of it.
Yeah. So I always talk about investing in yourself, how important it is. And I knew right after the first day that I got my money back. $1,500 over a 3-day period. You got 24 speakers that are just, being in a room with all of them, being able to connect with them, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, and for those of you who may not be familiar with what we're talking about, I know most of the viewers will be, but this was a huge conference put on by Grant Cardone. If you don't know who he is, he apologizes to you because he's an international speaker. He's got the world's leading online training platform for sales. He's a New York Times best-selling author over and over again, by the way, Fox contributor, all those great things. But the names on the list of the GrowthCon were just crazy.
Yeah, Tim Story, Brad Lee, Grant himself spoke.
Damon John, right?
Damon John.
From Shark Tank.
Yep. Jack Giacontelli, he's a car guy.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think he is over Rick Case.
Yes, exactly.
Rick Case Honda and Rick Case, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, huge
great.
organization.
He was fantastic. He talked a lot about culture, and not just in the automotive industry, but whatever industry you're in.
Yes.
Culture is so important.
And this was the thing, is that this really, it kind of blankets everything. It really didn't matter what industry you're in. If you're in sales, I mean, that was kind of the place to be. And as Lisa, as you mentioned at first, it kind of sounds like a lot, like $1,500, right? But it's 3 days, so that's $500 a day, and you're spending time with people like that you're watching on TV. It's incredible.
It really
so it must have been wonderful. I'm going to go next year.
Yeah,
I promise.
good.
I promise.
Tickets are on sale now.
I promise.
I didn't get paid to say that either.
Right. So I'm sure we'll hear bits and pieces of what you've learned when we talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is ROI. Mm-hmm. So when we come back from a little paid commercial break here, and I want to thank our sponsor, Serial Sales Pro. Definitely check them out. Look, if you just kind of fast forwarding through the commercials, or if you're watching the commercials but you're not engaging, check them out. Go to their website. I dare you to do it. You're going to see some incredible things. But serialsalespro.com is one of our sponsors, and the other is Robbie at rmtmedia.net, specializing in real estate photography, drone footage. Got an upcoming segment with him called the Drone Zone, which will be very cool. Looking forward to that. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
I have been using Serial Sales Pro for a little more than 2 years now.
I highly recommend it to anybody who's either just getting in sales. I don't care if you've been in sales 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are.
The shorter videos allows me to keep my concentration and also gives me more of a chance to actually apply that knowledge.
I've learned how to close deals better and be more effective in my communication with these customers.
I think what Serial Sales Pro does for me, it just keeps me sharp, keeps my edge sharp.
My income has literally tripled in the last 3 years.
This year, I'm already slated to make about 50 grand more than I made last year.
I've doubled my income from what I made last year.
It's definitely increased my income, and a lot of that came from what I learned right from Serial Sales Pro.
It's really turned my whole sales career around.
It keeps me ready to get to the next level.
So if you're not plugged in to it, get involved right away.
Let's face it, in today's market, video is the new curb appeal. Even if somebody drives by your listing, the first thing they're going to do is pull their phone out, take a look at that property online. Whether you're selling a $200,000 home in Central Florida, or a multi-million-dollar estate in Palm Beach, Florida, or San Francisco, California, or maybe you need some aerial footage for a site acquisition, email me today and let's get started. Robbie@rmtmedia.com.
Hey, welcome back to Under Contract. I'm here with my guest co-host,
Yeah.
Dr. Lisa Marie. Can I call you Lisa?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But I've
yeah.
always wanted to say, "What's up, Doc?" Is that cool too?
You can do that too.
All right, what's up, Doc?
Lisa's just fine. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
All right. So, what we're talking about today is ROI, return on investment, and specifically what realtors are doing right now or having to do in order to get that return, whether it be a software tool you're using, a CRM, whether it be ads you're running. And a lot of you have chimed in on Facebook as we're going into the show, talking about what it is that's helping you and what are you doing dollar for dollar. How are you spending your time to get that investment? And Lisa, before we even go there, maybe talk about a little bit like, when it comes to ROI or investing, I think a lot of times as realtors, we're kind of on our own, sometimes, even though we might have some leadership within a brokerage or things like that, or some people to kind of, mentor us a little bit. Ultimately, it's up to us.
Yes.
And a lot of times, maybe a realtor doesn't know quite what to do, or they try some things and they give up, or it's just kind of, they enter the day with, well, I'm going to try to do something today, but don't really know what to do. How do you measure? How do you know if something's working or not unless you have some type of system down?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. If it's not scalable, you're not going to be able to figure out what's wrong. So, lead generation, every single part of it is breaking it down and figuring out, is it something with my script that I'm doing wrong? Or is it the amount of phone calls that I'm, a little bit short on? What exactly is it? It's got to be measurable.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that has always helped me, and I guess I learned this many years ago in the car business, but, I would look back at the end of the month and I would look at each deal that I had and I would say, where did that really originate? And what was my role in that? So and I still do that now with houses, with home deals, because I want to know, okay, if this is getting me these two deals, and this is getting me one deal, and this is getting me this deal, and how much time am I spending? That's a good way to measure, right?
It's a great way to measure, yeah. I mean, every day, for example, I enter the amount of contacts that I made, I enter the amount of dials that I made, and it's just, you got to know where your leads are coming from, like you said, because if you called your sphere and you got 2 deals out of that in 1 month, that's a pretty good return.
Yes. Now, let me ask you this, because this is popular among agents, I think, and a lot of business people, but do you do time blocking where you say, okay, for the next 2 hours, this is my schedule, this is what I focus on?
Yeah, not only do I do it, I think it's absolutely necessary to do it and to stick to it. Don't let anyone ever, invade your time or your space.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's less time that you got with your clients or potential clients.
Well, what about us ADD guys that are like,
well,
the phone rang.
yeah, exactly. Or my headpiece came out. So yeah, it's a matter of just really blocking that time and not letting anyone interfere with it ever.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, and that's something I'm personally working on, that time blocking part. But let's talk about what realtors and agents, and we've even got loan officers that are chiming in. But let's talk about what people are saying right now on Facebook. I think Jason Fletcher chimed in.
Partnering with loan originators or loan officers. This is a fantastic idea. It's absolutely necessary as well. I mean, that is your team. Your origination people, your inspectors, all of those people are part of your team, so you need to make sure that those relationships are solid.
Yeah, and there's so many benefits from that, because what I'm thinking is, first of all, the loan officers need realtors, and realtors need loan officers, right? So it's a marriage. I think sometimes as individuals, when we're in real estate or whatever we're doing, since we're kind of doing this business somewhat on our own a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
We think, well, I don't want to reach out to them. They probably, I'm probably bothering them. I'm probably this, that. No, they're like, come on, because they're trying to think of ways to get to you. You guys are both sitting over there thinking, how do I talk to this other person?
That's right.
And you never connect.
Pick up the phone.
Right.
Right? That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So partnering with loan originators, that's huge.
Yep.
And
we got Gary James McKnight talking about Facebook ads. This is big right now, right?
Yes, something that I really need help with. I'm figuring out, but
Yeah, you got to know how to do it. There is a science to it.
yeah, I think that, and another thing, like you just mentioned, there's a science to it, right? And I'm sure that there are plenty of social media marketers that are watching the show as well that would be happy to reach out and share some of these things, right? And maybe
Yeah.
even gain some clients through their interaction with the show, hint, hint. But
Yeah.
the thing is that, like, if I just go on and wing an ad on Facebook and go, I run it for a week and I go, that sucked.
I didn't get anything.
Yeah, does that mean Facebook ads don't work?
Yeah, you got to be really tight with your demographics and locations, and who is your target audience, and I
Right.
haven't been doing many myself, but I do plan on it because I think it's it's kind of where it's at. Everyone's on Facebook. What do you got? 7 billion users or something? I don't
Right,
know.
exactly. And
My
I
stats
think
were right.
I would encourage James to, or Gary James Knight to share more about that and maybe give some tips on the Facebook ads.
Yeah.
What are you signaling me, Lou? You're signaling me. Oh, the monitor? It's not on. I don't see it on. Sorry, folks. We had a little technical issue. So anyway, let's talk for a moment, though, before we go back to okay. Before we go back to some of the Facebook comments that we're seeing, let's talk about what you feel. Like I saw you chime in earlier in the week on this topic,
Yes.
and you were talking. Well, you just go ahead and share it.
Yeah, follow-up's huge for me. Relentless follow-up is what I commented on that. And if you don't follow up, they don't know who you are. You're not top of mind. So, I mean, it's got to be relentless. Like, even when I was in the model home, I would send them a bomb video as soon as they left. 5 minutes after they left, a lot of them were like, wow, they're like at the next model house.
Right,
and
right.
I'm already like in their face.
Right.
So it's so important, though. People love that. They love to know that you're thinking about them and that, they'll remember you if you're on top of it.
Yeah, it's so funny to me, but you think about the power of that because someone's buying a home, right? And they're looking for a home that fits the need, okay?
Yeah.
But the fact that we actually do sort of have some influence in
Yeah.
the way that we interact with people, like I've seen people and heard from customers and clients how they walked in one home and they just left because it was a big turnoff, right?
Right.
It could have been the perfect home for them.
It could have been, but the salesperson wasn't there or wasn't available or didn't know the answers to their questions. I mean, when people, when they're buying a home, no matter where it's at, they're trying to solve a problem,
Right.
right? It's up to us to help them solve the problem.
Right. So, that's the thing. It still fascinates me how much influence we do have on such an item.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about being in sales. Hey, love it. So, so the next thing is, one of the things that we talked about before, and I kind of shared what I thought was my biggest ROI activity. And mine's more of an activity than it is a spend, if you will.
Sure.
There's some spend attached to it. The first one there's a spend attached to, which we talked about when we opened up with the GrowthCon. It's the spending on training, right?
That's right.
If you haven't gotten the knowledge, which we're all still learning, don't get me wrong, but if you haven't gotten that foundation of great sales practices and rebuttals and understanding how to interact with the customer and getting some things on your side and getting confidence and feeling good about your presentation,
Yeah.
I think the ROI, that when it comes to training, the one thing I always go back to, I'm so sold on it, but is the fact that that's an ROI that you get forever.
Forever.
Like forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We talked about that investment of $1,500, and I know that's not chicken feed. I mean, it's a good deal of money.
Yeah.
But we look at real estate commissions and how many, if we got one deal, one, not to mention the great time you had for 3 days meeting all these celebrities and listening to the most powerful people on the planet.
Yeah.
But if you got one deal over the course of your entire life from something you took away, which
That's
by
right.
the way, you're going to get many. You probably get one the first week.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge payoff. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, even if it's $5,000, it's a no-brainer. For our average commission on each house in Lakewood Ranch is around $9,000 or $10,000, but it depends on where you're at geographically. You got to figure out what is one transaction worth, and I probably wouldn't go over that for one investment. That's kind of how I do my math.
Right.
So
And I think you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has a lot to do with mindset. Like, people who look at the Growth Con or the ticket, you know, or for any event, you go to a conference, it's $300 or $500 or whatever the case may be. But for those who look at it and go, well, I'm not sure if you know, is this good money for me to, you know, if you're thinking even that way, like if you have those questions, may not be for you. But here's the thing. The thing about it is like, you know, it should be like a total, like it doesn't even cross your mind.
No, like I'm doing this.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, boom, in.
Right.
In. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. Boom. It's like, you know, I listen to audio of Grant all the time. Of course, you're a big Grant fan as well.
I am.
But, you know, he talked about the mindset of successful people. You know, there are readers. They get a book every week. They're reading books. They're reading books, right?
Yeah.
They buy a $30 book and they go, this is a no-brainer because I'm looking for that one nugget, that $1 million idea, right?
Yeah.
Where someone else might say, oh, man, I got to get on eBay and see if I can find this thing for $10, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's that scarcity mindset.
right.
That's what you don't want.
Exactly. So anyway, off my soapbox when it comes to ROI of the training. The other ROI is what I call FaceTime or face-to-face. Like, I don't think that there's anything that outproduces me being in front of a customer.
I totally agree.
And the thing is that's not, we talked about this earlier, you know, real estate, you know, when you're not in real estate, there's this image of real estate. It's very glamorous.
Yeah.
It's like the $1 Million, what's the show?
A $1 million listing?
$1 Million Listing,
Yeah.
right? A great show. I'm hooked on it. I
Yeah.
want them to make 35,000 more seasons, by the way.
And it's not like that, though.
Right. At least not all the time. You know, there's
Right.
some real things in there. But the thing is that it's not just glamour, right? It's like, you know, you talked about it earlier. You made the transition from model home sales to general residential real estate, and you had this huge database. You're like, oh, I'm going to kill it. But then it's the first day, and you go, wait a minute, my database isn't showing up today.
That's right. Yeah.
So what do you got to do?
Even me being in real estate for 4 years, you know, if you transition back into general real estate, you're still doing all the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting on that phone, doing the things that aren't glamorous at times that gives you your biggest return. Okay, so let's go back to a couple of Facebook comments.
Oh,
We've
trouble
got,
with my earbud here.
we have Jimmy Armstrong weighed in. He said, the best advice is to get on the phone. Okay, that was the one I agreed with the most because we just talked about that. The fact that, look, pick up the phone, right? I can't think of anything stronger other than being in person with someone.
Goodness.
And we talked about the fact that before the show, where I was sharing that, you know, I got on the internet, went to Zillow, started looking at who's listing rentals, and I just start picking up the phone and calling, hey, Phil Hornback, okay, with Hornback Realty. Look, I noticed you got a listing over here, a rental. By the way, I'm Dave Cribbs. I'm a new home consultant over here. By the way, we're doing a full free pool promotion. Who do you know wants a free pool that you could give it to right now?
What an amazing script that is.
Hello.
Seriously.
Just simple.
Yeah.
And I've gotten deals. You know, it's like people are showing up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But just from that phone call. Now, I will say this: I love getting on social media and doing all the posts, you know, as well. And there's some of that just has to be done. I want you to invest in that as well.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, that's something that's more of a long-term benefit. You know, when you start picking up deals here and there, it's not the daily thing that's going to get you business right now today. Typically.
Oh no, and it's not pretty sometimes.
Exactly.
So yeah, and it's pounding the phones when nobody's watching that is really gonna pay off in the end.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So we've got Jeremy Cloder, and actually, you know, it's funny because I recognize Jeremy's name. He's a local realtor. He's doing a killer job. In fact, I believe now he's actually has his own team, a bunch of agents. I saw something recently, but the cool thing, Lisa, is I noticed recently that his father, who's a friend of mine,
Oh really?
was a realtor. I didn't even realize it, and I didn't even know Jeremy was in the business. But he's killing it. And I can remember when he was much younger. It's so weird when you see him grow up. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
he said, do just solds on every listing. It's a gold mine. And then we had another comment right under that asked for an example. And I probably need an example because I wasn't sure exactly how he was referencing that. And maybe, Jeremy, if you're out there, you could comment, even if you're not watching live right now, after the show, comment, come back and let us know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then we had...
Roxy Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of clients, right? Take great care of clients, rather. You know, this is where all your referrals are going to come from. So if you're having a bad day, you got to suck it up, buttercup, because you got to treat all your clients with the utmost respect and, you know, all the same. It's those referrals that are really going to get you far.
Yeah, and you made me think of something because, you know, especially where I sit in a model, you've sat in a model before, and you have clients walking in that you haven't even met yet.
Right.
And you have to be on, like, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter what happened prior to them walking up, because it wasn't an appointment that you knew about, right? You
No.
couldn't prepare
That's a great
for
point.
it. And all of a sudden, it's game on, right? So I learned something from a great mentor it was about 1,000 years ago, in person, by the way. I take a lot of vitamins. I learned something from a mentor years and years ago, and he said, you know what? He said, it was when I was in the car business, but the same thing applies when you're sitting at the model. He said, Dave, you're selling to a passing parade. You're selling to a passing parade.
Oh, that's good.
Which means that they are seeing you for the first time, even though you've done it 18 million times. You have to keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yep.
So you know, that's another thing, and it kind of made me think about that when you were talking about being on your game.
Yeah, and conversely, if maybe it's raining outside or the weather's not that great, and you haven't seen anyone in a few hours, you got to still have that game on,
Right.
Even though you haven't spoken to a soul in 3 hours.
Yeah, because you start to get a little. Let's face it, the reality sets in. You start to get a little tired. You start to get a little whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Ed Brooks, Cribs, are you 7'2". I think Ed Brooks on Facebook is commenting because we tweeted out we sent out on Facebook a picture earlier of me standing next to Lisa, and what folks don't know is I'm actually sitting down Indian style right now on the floor. I try to hide my height.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been so good at it until that picture slipped out
Yeah.
today. But yeah, thank you, Ed. I appreciate
The
that.
secret's out.
The secret's out. So, and then the final comment that we were going to talk about was
George Christie, CEO with a reputable firm.
SEO.
SEO, sorry.
Yeah. SEO with a reputable firm. Interestingly enough, that came from George Christie on Facebook. I think George is the reputable firm, by the way. So I think
That would make
that
sense.
might have been a self-plug. So one more thing I want to mention, and then we're going to go to a caller because we have a special announcement to make here live on Facebook on Under Contract. But
Yeah.
I wanted to show this off. You know, some of you have seen this on Facebook. This came from a place called allthingsrealestatestore.com, so check them out. But it says real estate agent here, open for questions. You know, and I have a habit every morning. It's more like a traditional thing for me, whatever you want to call it. But I go to Starbucks every morning, and I'm there for like an hour, literally, just kind of gaining my thoughts, preparing for the day. I'm watching
Checking
YouTube
in.
videos, trying to not only wake up, but I'm trying to feed my mind before I go into work. Sometimes I get up. And I don't know if you're this way, Lisa, but I'm like, it ain't happening today, right? It ain't happening today. And then I go to Starbucks, I drink my coffee, take my little vitamin, and I start watching stuff, and they're talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm ready, and then by the time I leave, I'm like, hey, I'm going to sell 20 homes this month.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you're in the zone then, right?
Yes. So anyway, one of the cool things is I found this online, and I said, I'm going to get that, and I sat it down at my table at Starbucks, and within 4 days I had people coming up to me. I met 4 new amazing real estate agents, a loan officer, 2 prospects, close to a deal on one of those for $20. $20. So get it.
Simple. See,
Very simple.
We overthink things.
Yes, we do. And that was just too cool. But what that goes back to really is that, remember when we talked about that one-on-one FaceTime engagement with
Yes.
being the strongest ROI?
Yep.
The sign gives me the invitation, or that gets the attention.
Yep.
But it's put there because I want to have a conversation.
Yep,
And
that's right.
someone said something recently. I know it comes from some great real estate guru, and I don't know who. You guys can comment. But if you're a realtor and you're not having a conversation about real estate, you're closed.
Yeah, you're already done.
Yeah, you're not open. You're not open for business. So let's go to our caller, Lou. And we've got a special event coming up in Tampa here for all of you realtors. And I know there are realtors watching all over the country right now. But for those who are in the Tampa Bay area, we do have a lot of Tampa Bay realtors that are tuning in right now. So for those of you who are in Tampa Bay, there's a special event coming up. And on the line we have with us, is our caller on, Lou? Okay. We have Brandon Harrell with Security National Mortgage. Welcome to the show, Brandon. How are you?
Hi, David. Hi, Lisa. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, Brandon.
Go ahead and ask. And Brandon, are we? You're having a special event. It's on April 6th, correct?
Correct. It's called Knock Out Your Competition. It is on April 6th at 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Tampa Marriott West Shore.
Awesome.
And it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, we're really excited about it.
Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be able to learn there, Brandon.
So we have a few keynote speakers. We have two, actually. One is Robin Lavich. She is a local, very successful business coach and sales coach with Surpass Your Goal. And she is an absolute expert in the DISC profile and personality styles, right?
Awesome.
So what Robin's going to be sharing with us is, really being able to spotting a personality type just by the way someone looks, the way they interact with you, that kind of thing, and being able to tailor your sales approach accordingly to that specific personality type, because obviously people are interested in different things, and you want to be, like you guys were saying, on the ball when it comes to those conversations. So she's going to be tremendous in that.
Yeah, I truly believe in that DISC test.
Yeah, and we oftentimes it's come up in our sales meetings at the company that I'm with before when we talk about matching, kind of like that mirroring concept where you're matching the personality, kind of going at their speed, whether it's fast, slow. I'm guessing that that's some of what Robin's going to be talking about.
A little bit of that, yeah, absolutely. And, it goes a long way, too. When you, in this industry, a real estate agent, a loan officer, you got to be relatable. You got to be personable. You got to make that connection instantly, or else you'll lose them. And Robin's going to get into how to do all that really effectively. So we're looking forward to that one.
Thank you. And then you have another keynote speaker, right?
We do. So after Robin's done, we are going to have a keynote speaker named Barry Habib, who is an housing industry expert. We're actually flying him in over from California, and he's been seen on Fox News, CNN, all those big major news outlets, and he's going to be talking about how to leverage your client's financial opportunity with the real estate transaction to really hone in making that sale. So most agents, go about either selling features of a property or selling features of what to do when we list, blah, 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 this and that. He's going to talk about how you can focus on the financial opportunity in particular properties and kind of drive that home because, realistically, like he says, people they're engaged with their eyes, they might fall in love with the property with their hearts, but they really finalize and sign the contract with their pocketbooks, right? So he really talks about how they're going to be able to financially gain on a certain opportunity for each real estate transaction and how you can portray that to your client. So really, really excited to have Barry on board.
Yeah, I think that's huge because realtors are going to walk away, Lisa, with another way that they can see to maybe put a deal together that they might have otherwise missed.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. So that's April 6th at the Tampa Marriott West Shore.
April 6th, Tampa Marriott West Shore. It's at 8 a.m., sponsored by a nationwide lender with a local feel. We're Security National Mortgage. We have an operations center right there in Oldsmar. But if anybody needs any more information on the event, we'd be happy to help them out. They can call Christy Canizio at 727-224-2673, or they can do what you did, David, go on to eventbrite.com and search for Real Estate Agents Knock Out Your Competition. So we're really looking forward to this event.
Awesome, Brandon, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. I will be there for that event, so we will see you then. Thanks so much for being on Under Contract today.
Thanks, Brandon.
My pleasure. Thanks for all that you guys do. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Another way to invest.
Yeah.
ROI, right? And
Yeah.
guess how much this one costs, Lisa?
Is it free, David?
I think it might be free.
Ah,
And if it's
wow.
not free, I might be able to get you. I know someone who knows someone.
Yeah,
So
who knows
here's the deal. It is time for Realtor of the Week.
Oh.
So Lou put up Realtor of the Week, and Ezra, thank you guys so much. Our producers are just amazing, by the way. This is an IPD Media production. If you don't know them, make sure you're checking out and Googling IPD Media. Maybe some opportunity there for you as well. But let's take a look at the featured Realtor of the Week. Now, Lisa, one of the things I do when it comes to, I get to pick them, right? I've
Yeah.
chosen them so far.
Yeah.
I should have had you pick one this week. Maybe you can do that for us next week,
Okay,
for next week's
that'd
show.
be great.
I'll give you the challenge. So basically what I've done is I'm looking at what I'm seeing on social media.
Yep.
And not just post, but people who are out there, you know, like, hey, I'm at a listing right now and they're showing us and they're doing this and they're doing that. And it's just like one thing after another and they're just so active, right? And they're killing it. And Tasha, forgive me if I mess this first name up. I think it's Tasha, could be Tashia, could be Tashia. I think it's Tasha.
I think so too.
Tasha McGinn.
Yeah.
Tasha McGinn, and actually kind of spoke through text to Tasha earlier today. Usually I keep this a secret, but I actually wanted to have her on as a guest, so I reached out to her this morning. But
nice.
so she knew that she might be featured today. So featured Realtor of the Week, Tasha McGinn. The link, you may have to pause it, take a photo, whatever you need to do, because that link is kind of crazy. It's probably my fault. I'm sure there's an easier way to reach Tasha McGinn, but she's in Texas.
Yeah.
She's all the way from Texas, right?
Well, it sounds like she gives a lot of value
wait.
on social media, right?
Is it Texas or is it Biloxi, Mississippi?
I thought it was Texas.
Now I don't remember. Now I'm thinking, I think I said Texas earlier to you.
You did say Texas
I think
earlier.
it might be Biloxi. You got to clarify this, Tasha. Tasha, you got to clarify for us, right? Make sure you comment on Facebook on the show today and let us know exactly where we're at. So, you know what? Great show. Guys, how are we doing on time?
A few minutes over, but we're good.
Oh, we're a couple minutes over.
We're
Okay.
over.
Well, anyway, Lisa, I can't thank you enough. First of all, for
Thank you.
the wonderful gift that you brought with you today.
Thank you.
But most of all, for bringing yourself. You're amazing. Share with people how they can reach out to you, maybe how they can get your book, all those kind of things.
Yeah, it's real easy. SellingTheMillionDollarModel.com. You can go there, or you can go to LisaMarieKennedy.com. I do have a website. So
Nice.
yeah, it's all about branding yourself, I think. You know, a long time ago, I decided that I wanted to brand my name. So no matter what you do,
Yes.
you know, branding your name is a huge value.
Yeah, it kind of sticks with you, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, kind of
Little
hangs
bit.
out for a while.
A little bit. But I just want to thank you so much, you guys in the studio, and you, David. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We had a blast.
Yeah,
from
and we actually
before the
looked
show
at-
to after. So.
We look the same height when we're sitting down.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and it's not. I'm going to tell you, sitting Indian style this long is not exactly comfortable, but I've managed to do
I think
it.
you split your pants.
Thanks. Oh, let's talk about. Let's just mention real fast the upcoming shows. We have a couple of upcoming shows
Oh, yeah.
for you that are very exciting.
Yeah,
And
next week's show, the interview.
the interview. Look, we're going to be talking. This is huge. We're going to be talking about that first initial interview with your client as a realtor. You know, whether it's a client that's interested in buying a home, purchasing a home,
Yep.
or if it's a listing. But we're going to have some experts on talking about what that interview should look like
Yeah.
before we go further.
Yeah, it should look perfect, by the way. Number 2, dropping bombs.
Dropping bombs, baby, dropping
it.
bombs. You know, it's funny because you brought it up as an example
I did,
earlier.
yeah.
You sent a bomb video, and that we have someone from Bomb that'll be on the show next week, Steve, and we'll get the rest of Steve's information here for you shortly.
Yeah.
He'll be on the show. Actually, that's going to be on the 5th of April, I believe. And then what's the last one?
The
third
next one after that is Dirty Talk.
Dirty Talk.
Uh-oh.
We're changing the format. Changing the format. No, it's not that kind of dirty talk. Look, a couple weeks ago, I posed the question out on Facebook. Hey, what would
Yeah.
you say to a loan officer? If you're a realtor,
Yeah.
what would you say to a loan officer? What would you say to a new home construction sales rep, and vice versa?
Yeah.
What would a loan officer say if he could say anything or she could say anything? What would they say to the other person? Like, hey, you need to do this, or we need to do better at this, right?
Yeah,
So a lot of things came out. Some of them kind of cool, some of them a little dirty. So.
Not so cool.
So we'll be talking about that on an upcoming show. That's something we all need to kind of really air out and get out there and figure out a way to capitalize and work better as teams.
Yep,
So
agreed.
So hey, great show.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks
I think
for tuning
we'll-
in, you guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next week on Under Contract. Thank you.
See ya.